Hello everyone and welcome back to the Orbital Platform. My name is Golden Nova Yu-Gi-Oh! The Lore Lori, the explaining expert, and today we are playing another session of Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. We are heading into trial day 2 of case 2. You are muted. That literally can't be the case. I'm getting readouts. I'm getting readouts for the microphone. How is that possible? You are not. Okay, I was... No! I've been tricked! I was on a roll and chat has derailed me, but really, would it be a stream if that didn't happen? You've got to get at least one up over on me. Anyway, we are doing, day 2. Trial 2 of case 2. I don't know if there's much else to add on to here. We've learned that illusion probably played a lot more into the proceedings of the murder than had previously been thought, and now we're gonna go see if that thought bears any fruit. So let's go ahead and let's get this started. I don't think I have anything. Yeah, nothing else to add here. Let's go ahead and get. Okay, cool. Controller's active here. Controller doesn't have any light on it, so I was a little weirded out. Like, what's going on there? Oh, let's get a chat more in view here. I was covered up by other stuff. Would you rather be derailed or suplex like a train? I feel like being able to... Oh, derailed or suplexed like a train. I think being suplexed like a train would fix me. I think it would snap my spine back into alignment, and I would be able to do all of the things that I was able to accomplish in my youth. The first route for Deuce is a bad end. Of course, the first route of a multi-route visual novel is bad. That's how they get you for the second route, so that makes sense. All right, objection. That's the one thing. They just used objection again in this one. They didn't find some magical way to change. How could they do that? You mean actual Magic the Gathering card suplex the train one? The fact that there is a Magic the Gathering card that references a glitch from Final Fantasy VI is just... like, there's something beautiful about that, right? It was an unintended interaction with the mechanics that has been so beloved by the community that it has echoed out into existence. They made it so the re-releases had that coded in there because it was such an iconic thing that happened. That's the unintentionality that can come out, the emergent experience in video games is crazy. Okay, that's me being sappy about stuff. Maybe we'll get to be even more sappy later. If you might have noticed, 3 more people decided to sign up for the Patreon. The Patreon goal is 3 closer than it was beforehand, and that melts my heart. So all of you, thank you so much for your support. And if not, and you're just here to watch, then also thank you for joining me while I play, because that's also really cool and nice. So thank you. Mwah. All right. Let's get to this. What? I know. I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen all the pieces there myself. What are we talking about here? It won't tell. The thing that we can use a text log for to read things as we go back. Though, speaking of text logs, I was cutting down the VOD. I don't do a lot of edits for the VOD. I just kind of cut out like the intermission spots. But I was going through it, and we had our little glitch screen jump scare, and notably, the only thing that changed was the character models. There was not a piece of dialogue that was changed by the glitching, so that was an interesting... I don't know if that's how it worked with all of them. I didn't go back and see any of the previous footage for that, but notably, that's probably a reason why the text log doesn't change, because no one said anything different, technically. Nova's heart is powered by money and or calories. Definitely the and part. I need those greens. I need I'm like a brontosaurus. I gotta chew those Washingtons. Now imagine Doom Train, but with very swole arms. I don't want to. I don't want to be suplexed by the Doom Train. I know. I wouldn't have believed it if it hadn't seen all the pieces there myself. That makes so much sense. The Steel Winds had always seen the Necromancers as a threat to their power. Guys. But to think that Bloomfield was originally a part of their family? I know, right? It's cruelly insane when you think about it. Guys, focus! Wallace is on trial for murder right now! Oh, yeah. Sorry, I don't know what came over me. Hello, Peppermint. How's it going? After I quit you, do you want to talk more about what I found? Yes! Alright, don't lose that confidence, I guess. Court is now resumed for the trial of Wallace Nightgrave. During yesterday's trial, it was revealed that the trace of necromancy might not have been left by the defendant. It may have been left by a witness who cast necromancy in an attempt to heal the victim. However, the victim was seen by witnesses well after her time of death. That could only be explained if someone had used necromancy to animate the victim's body, which begged the following question. If the victim had been raised as an undead and ordered to walk to Lecture Hall 2B, where did the murder actually take place? Does the prosecution have any answer for this? Based on the testimony of several witnesses, it is very likely that the murder took place in the library. Interesting. What led you to this conclusion, Miss Steelwind? First, I'd like to remind the court where the victim was sighted before the body was found. It began when the victim had a meeting with the headmaster near the center of the building. Our meeting was scheduled for 12 p.m. According to my schedule for that day, our meeting lasted for an hour. That brings us to the statement of the next witness, a student at the academy. This student saw this victim walking in the hallways. I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading towards the library. Which means that our first witness saw Bellwether leave the headmaster's office. Presumably, this would have happened after her meeting there. That would time this encounter at around 1 p.m. The other event is the discovery of the body, which was when Valentina Ionis contacted security. I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in the classroom. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. As we've already established, this event occurred at 3:04 p.m., but the significance of this time is in what occurred before the body was discovered. The second witness, a member of the cleaning staff, spotted the victim in the West Wing hallway. Bellwether knocked over a vase, and there were shards and dirt everywhere. It was probably 20 to 30 minutes before the twins found the body. This means that this encounter must have happened no later than 2:30 p.m. And this implies that the victim was near the library between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. According to the defendant's statements, he was in the library during this time period. Furthermore, the time of death was at 2:01 p.m. This means that Mr. Hughes saw the victim's animated body. Alright, we have Steelwind's deduction of a timeline here. I see. What do you have to say in your defense, Mr. Cuthbert? The prosecution's argument is definitely well thought out, Your Honor. However, it is entirely predicated on the testimonies of all the witnesses involved. Steelwind's deductions had to have a hole somewhere, and since our conversation yesterday, I'd have a feeling that Miriam was hiding something. If I wanted to get to the truth, I would need to drag that out of her through a cross-examination. Your Honor, to test the validity of these claims, the defense would like both of these witnesses to testify. The defense calls Miriam Frigga to the stand. And that's the big problem. For those of you who need a bit of a refresher, Miriam Frigga is a member of the Frigga clan. House Frigga is more appropriate here, and what they actually call it. One of the highest ranked families in the nation, so bringing her to stand and perhaps implicating her in this would cause an internal incident that would cause the house to use all of its resources to bury this case and ensure that our client goes to prison, or at the very least lets the real criminal go free. So let's see how that turns out. At the mention of her name, the judge's face turned a bit pale. I'm sure she's going to be happy to see her new Steelwind friend for sure. You're right. As a reminder, our companion Celeste masqueraded as a member of the Steelwind family, who not only is the one that our prosecutor friend belongs to, but is another one of the high-ranking families in this kingdom. So finding out that that was a ruse, perhaps, we'll see how far the bit goes, is going to cause a bit of a problem. He fidgeted with his gavel, looking towards the bailiff and then towards Steelwind. I had a feeling it would come to this. Do you have any objections, Miss Steelwind? I do not, Your Honor. Very well. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frigga to the stand. You might want to be specific about that. It's a whole family. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the... You little snakes! How dare you deceive me? Oh, it looks like she found out. I had the opportunity to debrief the witness beforehand. Miss McCoy, I asked you to exercise discretion. I did not imply that you should impersonate a member of my family. If she is impersonating, that is, she could be completely right. Yeah, sorry about that. I gave you all of the tea that I imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. I demand that you return it to me. No, you gave it to me. It's legally mine now. Anyways, Miriam, could you please testify to the court about your encounter with the victim? Fine. Then clearly I should impersonate. They'll tell the die on true. I was working on a research project in my dorm room when I decided to take a break. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her, and she responded in kind. After that, she headed towards the library. A short time after that, I went back to my room and continued my work. I see. So it was only a brief encounter? However brief it was, the witness's testimony verifies two things. One is that Miriam saw the professor exiting the headmaster's office, and the other is that she witnessed the victim head towards the library. This gives you a rough timeline of where the victim was before her death. Miriam feels like a person who would do the oh ho ho very hime dere of her. Hopefully we get to see the Oju laugh at some point during the events of this trial. That does seem consistent. Did Bellwether really enter the library after her meeting? I feel like I would have seen her there if she did. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. We saw her in the library at some point. We were causing more than a bit of a commotion. But folks, you know we got to be pressing all these statements so we can get all that content. Was this research project a part of your schoolwork? It was an independent study to develop a new conjuration spell formula. The project is being sponsored by the Crown Prince himself. I wasn't aware that he was involved in such a study. Of course you wouldn't. Did you expect to know every aspect of his life, dear Arya? I sense some hostility. If you don't keep an eye on him, House Frigga might just steal him back from you. As if his highness would align himself with your rapacious family again. Our banking houses form the economic infrastructure of our kingdom, but perhaps he'll come to the Steelwinds if he needs to massacre a village of commoners. Oh. The judge needs a break, I think. He looks like he has a constant migraine. His brows are knitted tighter than my grandma's blankets. We gotta get him some Tylenol. With all due respect, may we please focus on the matter at hand? Of course, Your Honor. And you're sure that you saw her exit the headmaster's office? Yes, I remember it clearly. I was surprised that she was still meeting with the headmaster at all. She must have been referring to her family's plot to replace him. Did you interact with the professor at all, Miriam? It's a hard drink. Get my key to cook dinner through my own budding migraine. Oof. Hope that resolves itself soon. Those suck to have. Did anything seem off about her? No, but it was a very short encounter. It's not as if we stopped to have a conversation. You said that you greeted her and she responded. What did she say? Why is that important? It's not important at all, so why? Ms. Frigga, it's possible that someone used illusion magic that day. Every detail about the victim's interactions could be important. Well, I bid her good morning. She said good morning in response. and you're certain that nothing seemed off about her. Yes, like I said, it was a very short encounter. I don't understand. Why did she say that? It only happened over a few seconds. The witness's interactions are not what's important here. What matters is that she witnessed what the victim was coming from and where she went afterwards. Is good morning in the automaton's repertoire? I wouldn't be surprised. Certainly one of the minds of all times. The situation, see, it's complicated because I'm waiting for that moment for it to be relevant that all of the constructs speak in the victim's voice. Like, it's gotta happen at some point. Did you see her enter the library? I didn't, but there's not much else in that direction. From the testimony of Jan Hughes, we know that she later came from the library. Even if she didn't enter the library, she was still in that area for more than an hour. How long did you leave your dorm room? Only for a few minutes. I try not to let my breaks go for too long. And you didn't see the professor again after your first encounter? No, I did not. Her testimony seems pretty straightforward, but she could still be lying. I'm honestly not sure. We'll just have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. Okay. She responded in kind, exiting the headmasters. Well, we've got to check our stuff. So, Rootstone, nothing. Arcane constructs. There's a command log for the constructs, but we didn't make a command, so I'm not sure what to do with that unless there is at some point going to be a log of someone asking it to respond that way when hearing something. The map. There's the headmaster's office. Well, heading towards the class, like towards the library, there's also the kitchen aside from the hall, so it's like that seems weird to me that there's nowhere else you could have gone, but I don't know if we can press on that. Smell doesn't seem to be relevant. Autopsy report doesn't seem relevant right now. Headmaster's actions. Lockdown system is fine. Bellwether's reputation had a tense relationship with just about everyone in the academy. She had a history of bullying students from the common folk and mistreating the academy staff. For several years, she used her position to curry favor with noble families. Don't think that has anything to do with it right now. Spell Compendium shouldn't have anything. Jan's statement. 30 minutes before the Giannis twins found the body, Bellwether would walk past Jan in the west wing hallway. He was in her path, so she shoved him out of her way. After that, she knocked over a vase and shattered it. Even though Jan didn't say anything to her, she yelled at him to be quiet. After this interaction, she walked into... That's got to be like an automaton thing at some point, but I think this I don't think this changes much. The Bellwether witnessed by Jan Hughes must have been disguised with an illusion. In addition to that, whoever he saw that day was physically there. So, maybe an automaton was disguised as Bellwether, and that's why it sounded like it had her voice. Because, okay, that's a cute thing. Once again, I don't think that's relevant to what we're trying to figure out right now, but it's something to keep in mind. Steelwind's orders. With the exception of me and Celeste McCoy, Prosecutor Steelwind isn't allowing anyone inside key areas. That's fine. 4 pillar families. We've already talked about that, but that shouldn't have anything to do with this. The construct in the locker room appears to be inactive. Evidence in the locker room. Evidence of academic dishonesty. A tightly packed folder containing several documents. The documents contain evidence detailing multiple instances of plagiarism, fraud, bribery of school officials, and various other offenses committed by Miriam Friga. Now that's super important. We'll keep that in mind though. Bloody Rapier, Bellwether's plan. House Friga was planning to fire Headmaster Theodore Redmond and replace him with Catherine Bellwether. They were also planning to fire all of the academy staff and replace them with arcane constructs. This was supposed to be kept a secret, but according to Jan, Bellwether revealed this plan to the headmaster during a meeting a few weeks ago. Construct logic limited, definitely not here, and the deduction I don't think factors into here right now. This is the thing we're trying to disprove. We can't just show that. I don't think spells or anything else. So this is a clues question. Are we on the right thing, though? I was working on a research project in my dorm when I decided to take a break. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. So that would be... Okay, 1 p.m. We don't happen to have anything else that's like a 1 p.m. time frame, anything anywhere. I don't think. Okay. She was walking towards me, so I bid her good morning, and she responded in kind. Her behavior wouldn't make sense to be rude, though notably we can see into her mind that something weird is happening. But based on her reputation, she would be acting just fine because Miriam is part of one of the houses that she's been cozying up to. After that, she headed towards the library. A short time after that, I went back to my room. So this is like... This is like the only statement that seemed to have anything. Was there anything from the press that we got to double check on? Like I said, it was a very short encounter. It only happened over a few seconds. His interactions or not was important here. What mattered is what she witnessed and the victim was coming from after... She's quite abrasive about everyone. She seemed to have peculiar disdain for commoners. She's really arrogant, but appears to excel at her studies. I can't imagine she has many genuine friends. She like says that she left her room. Dorm room when I decided to take a break, but our dorm room's not anywhere on the map, so we can't like check a positional thing on here, so that's out. This is the only thing that we've talked about that might have had anything. Because this is all about stuff that Miriam did. Maybe we do this just to, like, show off and be all like, it seems weird that she would treat you well considering all of this nonsense that she has. I'm gonna go for it. That's about the best we got right now. Another thing that's about this game that I'm not sure about is that we haven't seen any, like, punishment mechanics. There's no hit points, nothing. So, I'm not sure if we do have a limited amount of tries or if we could just brute force it. Not that I would want to, that would suck. Alright, let's try evidence of academic dishonesty. Music hasn't changed. It says contradictory, the evidence proves it. Yeah, okay. Well, that's nice. Fun fact about the DS-era game system. The power you get depends entirely on your personal desire. So if your desire is, I want this moment to last forever, you'll get time-stopping abilities. Oh, okay. Sick. I can't imagine there will be any monkey's paw situations regarding that. That would be silly. Okay. Autopsy report. Died at 2:01 p.m. This... This doesn't have anything wrong with it. Yawn statement. I don't imagine any of this functions well. Is it just because it's like she's being unruly? But that can't be because she normally acts crummy to every commoner and or work staff. Spell compendium, reputation. History of bullying students from the common folk and retreating comments like this. That can't be this. I don't... Oh, no. This doesn't... No, this doesn't function anything right now. There's a stain of blood inside the locker with Miriam Frigga's ID number. The blood doesn't have any traces of magic on it. This locker actually belongs to Wallace Nightgrave. Someone must have switched the ID number with Miriam's locker. That can't be. The map might assert a different destination. Okay, that's true. You're right. I literally brought that up and then I didn't like think about it more intensely. Because even though there's not much in that direction, there is still the kitchen that she could have been at. So let's try the map.
Objection!
She headed to the library. Do you see her enter the library? I didn't, but there's not much else in that direction. The testimony of Jan Hughes, we know that she later came from the library. If she didn't enter the library, she was still in the area for more than an hour. Because, yeah, if she goes from the headmaster's office to the library, there's a corner that gets turned. The thing that I wish I knew is where Miriam was standing over the course of all this, because we don't have a picture of where the dorms are in comparison to all of this. So presumably the only place that she could come from is the stairway that's at the bottom there. Unless she, randomly walked to any other place. If she came in and then walked towards the library and was sitting in that corner, she could have seen her go in there, but the whole point is that she didn't see specifically where she went. And even if she went an opposite direction, she still could have gone to the library by cutting through the cafeteria. Like, there's no... But the map doesn't mean anything in this regard here. Room. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. We're getting stumped on the first one. This is going very well. This is going very well, I think. Work on a research project, so that the first and fifth can't be anything because it's just her talking about her own personal stuff, and we can't really, even if we could contradict any of that, it's not like it would help this case at all. I left my room and went to a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. I think everyone has agreed that that is the case. The only thing that would be weird is like if she saw it happen at a different time than it was supposed to. She was... Do you have any other item in here that talks about her time that she went to go speak with him? I don't think so. "30 minutes before the Honest twins, Bellwether walked past Jan in the West Wing. He was in her path, so she shoved him out of the way. After that, she knocked over a vase and shattered it. Even though Jan didn't say anything to her, she yelled at him to be quiet. Out of this interaction, she walked into the intellectual 2B. Maybe it's this one that's the issue, because if responding in kind, that's something, but maybe the thing that she did afterwards wasn't head towards the library but berate Miriam about the academic stuff. Let's try it on this statement just to
Objection!
Your Honor, okay. Well, at least we can throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, because it looks like we don't have any repercussion going on. Another guy wanted to become a vampire, so the power system turned him into a vampire. Sick. Also, you have to really want something for the power to work, like wanting it so much that you would kill level of wanting. Okay, yeah, I mean, it would be a pretty busted if you could just whim things into existence. Revive. Major illusion. People. Okay, Runestone, of course, is just the joke option that doesn't function with anything. Arcane constructs are suits of armor that are animated using artificery. They can carry out simple tasks when ordered to. The ones in the Imperial Academy speak using the voice of Catherine Bellwether. These voice lines can only be changed or adjusted by the Academy headmaster. Every command given to a construct is stored in its command log. However, this command log must be cleared regularly. Nothing there. Headmaster activated the Academy's lockdown system in response to receiving a call from security. The call reported that Catherine Bellwether had been fatally wounded. That doesn't have anything to do with this. This shouldn't have anything to do with it either. Just about everyone in the Academy. She had a history of bullying students from the common folk and mistreating the Academy staff. Well, I guess you guys have to start trying shit. Then, reputation. Okay, so it's not that. That makes sense. Random bullshit go. I mean, what else could there be but this? Bellwether's plan in response to her talking with the headmaster specifically, because why would they be talking if not, like, if the plan was for them to die? Am I, like, overthinking this? Is there some obvious, like, thing that's going on that I'm missing? This is not caused by poison or disease. Okay, so, illusion magic. Illusory disguise. Do we start, like, dropping illusory disguise on stuff? Place an illusion on the target to completely change their visual appearance. This disguise moves the target for the duration. The disguise can make the target look 1 foot larger or smaller. Elements hidden by the spell are made invisible, and elements created by the spell are purely visual. You cannot make physical contact with it. It also can't change your voice, though, of course, if it was the construct, then that wouldn't matter. Creates a 3-dimensional illusion. The illusion can take the form of any object or creature that can be contained in a 10-foot cube. While concentrating, the caster can animate and move the image to a different location within range. The illusion is purely visual and cannot be touched. Yeah, I guess we can just start throwing spells at the problem. That's what I do whenever I play games. Just cast shit at things, and then we'll see what happens. If we do it enough times, she'll drop the saving throw or something. I don't know. What is going on here? What? Is there just something that I'm forgetting since we haven't played in a while? Left my room, went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. Well, first one. I was working on a research project in my dorm room, and I decided to take a break. Pressing this one just turns into a cat fight, so there's nothing there that we can really work with. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. We're not in lockdown yet, so that makes sense. We can do this right now. 2, she was walking towards me, so I bid her good morning, and she responded to me in kind. I just didn't know where the dorms were, because, like, if the dorms are an extension of the lecture halls on the opposite end, then that would be, like, you know, walking towards her in that direction would mean that she wasn't heading towards the library, but that's wishful thinking because we already have the stairs there, already showing us that goes somewhere else. That's probably where the dorms are.
Objection!
Let's try it on both of these just to be sure.
Objection!
Ali. It's the library. There are any non-illusion spells that might do something, right? This caster creates a simple and harmless visual effect around their hand. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. Mend wounds, revive, animate corpse. Oh, there could be. Reanimate the target using life energy, creating an undead minion for the duration. The minion follows the caster's orders, but its intelligence is limited and it cannot speak. It can't speak, so we can rule out... Oh. You know what? This will come up later. If it's an animated corpse and it can't talk, then Yon's testimony is thrown into question because she wouldn't have been able to say anything at that time. Maybe steel wind deduction on third statement. Sure, yeah.
Objection!
Okay, I gotta hear what this is. Miss Freak, if I recall correctly, you have a habit of getting absorbed in your work. So much so that you'll even lose track of the time of day. If I recall correctly, you pulled that information out of me through your lies. Regardless, earlier in today's proceedings, the prosecutor made the following argument. Our first witness saw Bellwether leave the meeting with the headmaster. That would time this encounter around 1 p.m. Miss Friga, if you had... Oh, good morning, and it was 1 p.m. Oh, that was a good one. That's a good one. Okay, there we go. Okay, I get it. That was good. Okay. Sometimes there's some moon logic things in games. That one, I feel like I should have gotten that one. That's on me. Because that encounter could have only happened during the afternoon. And your point is? You said it yourself, Mr. Cuthbert. The witness simply lost track of time. What the witness said isn't what's important here. The significance is what the professor said in response. She had just come out of a meeting that was scheduled for noon and ran for an hour. She would be well aware that it was no longer morning. Wouldn't she have corrected the witness? Their encounter was extremely short, and the victim's mind may have been preoccupied. She could have easily responded to the witness without thinking. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of agree with her. It's not hard to believe that they were both confused about the time. Yeah, and that's probably the reason why I didn't think about it, because it is usually such a nonchalant thing. It was definitely a stretch, but I still couldn't shake the feeling that Miriam was hiding something. Every time I asked her about how Bellwether acted that day, the Eye of Horus read a suspicious thought. There had to be something there. Miss Friga, you haven't been entirely truthful in your testimony, have you? That's absurd. What reason would I have to lie? It's such a small detail. Why does he even care? Every detail about how she acted is important, Miss Friga. What aren't you telling us? Mr. Cuthbert, you have no basis to accuse the witness of perjury. Yes, you will stop this at once. Miss Friga, you are lying about how Bellwether responded to your greeting, aren't you? Doesn't make a difference. All she did was yell at me. All she did was yell. Miss Friga, is it possible that Bellwether's response was less than friendly? What do you care? What difference does it make? This peasant, why is he being so persistent? My job is to make sure every part of your testimony is truthful. Every detail matters, no matter how seemingly insignificant. Mr. Cuthbert, you will stop this or I will find you in contempt. The professor yelled at you, didn't she, Miss Friga? Yeah, so what if she did? I mean... I'm sorry, but we all clearly heard what you just said. So, you do admit that she yelled at you. Oh, you impertinent little... Yes, I admit it. The professor didn't greet me back that day. Oh, good morning, Professor. be quiet. Uh-huh. Oh, be quiet. Interesting. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, she had always been nothing but courteous with each other. I didn't know what got into her that day, but something had put her in a foul mood. But that's it. Everything else I said was the truth. I am telling the truth. That's all she did. I did see her come out of the headmaster's office and walk towards the library. She walked past me. That part was true. So she wasn't lying about that. So is that all, Mr. Cuthbert? What do you mean, is that all? You badgering the witness also you could prove... what, exactly? The witness committed perjury. The witness changed a small detail of her testimony, a detail that is inconsequential to the case. It was clearly an act with no malicious intent. After seeing her thoughts, it was difficult to disagree with that. I was so sure that the eye would give me a thread to pull on, but she was only lying to save face. The witness saw the victim leave the headmaster's office and head towards the library. Do you have any concrete evidence to refute that, Mr. Cuthbert? No, I guess not. Wait, is this really okay? At this rate, this will be the only chance you have to cross-examine her. I don't think she's lying anymore, and I was really pushing my luck earlier. If I continue pressing her, the judge might actually charge me with contempt. But if Miriam wasn't the one who was lying... The defense has no further questions for the witness, Miss Steelwind. The prosecutor stayed silent for a while. She almost looked disappointed. Very well. Miriam, you are dismissed. Dut, 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 dut. Miriam shot me a look of disdain, but she left the room without protest. The judge let out a sigh as the young noble was escorted out of the room. It was as if he were expecting the young noble to literally explode at any moment. Now, with that out of the way, what else do you have, Mr. Cuthbert? The only way to refute the prosecution's theory was to cast doubt on one of the witnesses. Which Dane? Disdain. If it wasn't Miriam, then... Steelwind, to test your theory, we must question every witness who saw the victim that day. So, with that said, the defense would like to call Jan Hughes to the stand. I hope you understand, Mr. Cuthbert. Your entire case rests on the assumption that one of the witnesses' accounts is incorrect. If your cross-examination of Mr. Hughes leads nowhere, then I hope you're ready to concede. I didn't like the sound of it, but she was right. Unless I could find something in Jan's testimony, I wouldn't have the case at all. Bailiff, please bring in Mr. Hughes. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Witness, name and occupation. Right. My name is Jan Hughes. I'm on the cleaning staff of the academy. Mr. Hughes, please testify to the court about your encounter with the professor that day. All right. I saw the professor when I was cleaning the West Wing hallways. It was about 20 or 30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it. I heard she was undead when that happened. Pretty creepy, if you ask me. After that, she went into the empty classroom. Well, that was straightforward. Come on, Jan. What are we supposed to do with that? I don't know. You guys are the lawyers. I'm just telling you what I saw. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Alright. How are you sure that it was 30 minutes before? I always check the time to make sure I'm on schedule. I was supposed to finish cleaning the halls by 3 p.m. Right. The body was discovered at 3:04 p.m. What was the professor like, Mr. Hughes? Did anything else look off about her? Yeah, probably. She wasn't undead after all. That remains to be proven. If you say so. Anyways, what was her demeanor like? She looked like she was in a bad mood. Either that or she was tired, but I guess she was actually just dead. I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did. Yeah? Sorry, it's hard to remember these things sometimes. Did she touch anything? I think that's what we gotta... Did she touch anything? Oh, yeah. She knocked over a vase and shattered it. It might have been an accident, but she's done stuff like that on purpose. This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes. Whatever you say, man. Actually, I gotta go back and change that. It's, what she said. Did you hear her make any sounds? Oh, yeah. She knocked over the vase. She yelled at me to be quiet. But I didn't even say anything. This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes. Whatever you say, man. Okay. We'll move on to the next one to get the press out of it, but I think I figured out what we're doing here. Did you see anyone else enter that classroom? I'm honestly not sure. I wasn't paying much attention to her. I did think it was weird that she went in there. With the funky smell, I can't think of any reason why someone would go there. He's not giving us a lot to work with. He tends to leave out details unless we directly ask him about them. I just need to ask him the right questions. Maybe we can pull more information out of him. Okay, so like we figured out while we were doing all of this, Animate Corp specifically says that its intelligence is limited and it cannot speak. So if she was dead and remained at that point, she would not have been able to say anything. Ergo, Animate Corpse puts us on the right track. Let's go. You said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. What? I thought it was weird. I didn't even say anything. But I know better than to talk back to her. That's the thing, Mr. Hughes. The prosecution's theory is as follows. The professor was murdered in the library and was reanimated using Animate Corpse. With a quick illusion spell, no one would notice that she was undead. However, if what you say was truly the undead Bellwether, how did she speak to you? Huh? This can't be right. Mr. Hughes, undead can follow simple orders, but they don't have the intelligence to speak. But perhaps the witness was mistaken. No, I'm sure I heard her yell at me. I remember because what she said didn't make any sense. Definitely library automaton. Yeah, for sure. Either we've been dealing with an automaton since the meeting with the headmaster, and this is the second instance of a pre-programmed set of actions, which might explain the vase being knocked over because there was something in a place where there wasn't there during the initial recording, or we dealt with Bellwether on the first run and then all of that was recorded and then transcribed onto an automaton to handle the second sighting. Something like that. Exactly. He didn't say anything, but she still yelled at him to be quiet. Wait a minute. I'm afraid I don't understand. We've already established that the victim was dead long before her encounter with Mr. Hughes. But if what he saw wasn't an undead, what was it? It had to be an undead. What other explanation is there? It couldn't have been a major illusion. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to shove Jan out of the way to knock over the vase. Whatever it was, someone probably used an illusory disguise to make it look like Bellwether. Does that mean it was a person? No. If it were a person, how did Bellwether's body end up in the lecture hall? Bellwether wouldn't have been able to turn herself invisible if she were dead. And whatever Jan saw, it needed to be something that could have transported Bellwether's body unseen. It would have also needed to have a mass and the ability to speak. What created Bellwether's voice? Or at the very least, it needs to be something that can recreate Bellwether's voice. What could that have been? Folks, say it with me. Arcane Construct. That's it. What? Everyone, the witness didn't actually hear the dead victim speaking. What he actually heard was Bellwether's voice being recreated using magic. Are you trying to say that her voice was recreated using a spell? Not a spell, Steelwind. It was artificery. And whoever the murderer is, they had the perfect piece of artificery available to them. One programmed with Catherine Bellwether's voice. You can't possibly mean? That's right, Steelwind. What Mr. Hughes saw was an arcane construct. An arcane construct? It's a magically animated suit of armor, Your Honor. But we ruled out such a possibility, haven't we? Construct or not, no one could disguise themselves and carry the body to the classroom. A person wouldn't have been able to do it, but arcane constructs are a different thing entirely. Those suits of armor are extremely large, but more importantly, they're hollow. That means that theoretically, someone could have placed the victim's body inside it. The arcane construct wouldn't just transport the body. With an illusory disguise, it would also confuse and mislead anyone who saw it.
Objection!
Uh-oh. I commend your deduction, Mr. Cuthbert. I would have never considered that possibility. It's certainly plausible, but what does this prove exactly? It proves that the body wasn't animated using necromancy. My client isn't the murderer. The defendant is still capable of performing all of the acts that you describe. His compendium contains illusory disguise, after all. There were several students in the library that day. Any of them could have committed the murder. One might come to that conclusion if they didn't have one crucial piece of evidence. I'd like to present a new piece of evidence to the court. From under her table, Steelwind pulled out Miriam Friega's bloody rapier. A sword? Is that? Yes, Your Honor. This is the murder weapon. This rapier was reported stolen by Miriam Friga weeks before the murder. During the investigation, it was finally found in the defendant's locker. Oh, wait! He was clearly trying to use one of her possessions in a paltry attempt to frame her. Why, he even stole her locker's nameplate and placed it over his. Damn it! That wasn't what really happened. But honestly, it sounded more plausible than what really took place. We're basically back to square one, aren't we? Anyone could have told that construct to do all those things. Wait, was that really true? The construct transported the professor's body, and someone used an illusion to make it look like her. They even used a pre-recorded voice to make the illusion more convincing. Who ordered the construct to hide the body? Could anyone have done that? The voice lines are only changed or adjusted by the Academy Headmaster. Every command given to a construct is stored in a command log. I mean, anyone could, but could anyone have given this order? No, only one person could, and that would be in the log for that arcane construct. No, the constructs will take orders from anyone, but not all of their functions are enabled. Who would have every function available to them? Okay, so this is the headmaster, right? It was at that moment that several memories flooded back to me. Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. She yelled at me to be quiet. Until then, we had always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. Be quiet. Sorry. Be quiet! Eris giggled to herself. She was clearly amused by what was happening. The construct's voice is an amalgam of pre-recorded phrases. I'm not sure if you noticed, but it uses the voice of Professor Bellwether. Ugh, I knew there was something wrong with it. Unfortunately, you can't make them say anything other than basic responses. Only the headmaster can change those settings. So we're getting this one unadulterated from illusion stuff? Okay. Screenshot that face. No. Was it him the entire time? What is it, Tyrion? Did you figure something out? I did. I didn't like where this was going, but with the way the pieces were laid out, there was only one explanation. Oh man, The headmaster has the control of the construct stuff. He would have a motive for killing Bellwether because she was going to be his replacement. I think we saw him near the locker rooms with the unactivated arcane construct, which probably means that that has all kinds of evidence inside of it. Oh man. Oh man. Steelwind, earlier you said that my client could have orchestrated this entire ruse, but that's simply not true. How so? Anyone could have ordered the construct to carry the victim's body. Yes, but not everyone can change what the constructs are able to say. Only one individual has the credentials for that. Theodore Redmond, headmaster of the Imperial Academy. Wait, you're not serious, are you? You think the headmaster did all this? I don't want to believe it, but he's the only person who could have done it. That's completely ridiculous. Headmaster Redmond is 88 years old. He could never do something like this. Steelwind, there's one common element between each of the witness encounters with Bellwether. It's what Bellwether said to them. She yelled at both of them to be quiet. Miriam Frege was particularly surprised. She had a good relationship with the professor, but when greeted by the professor, Bellwether just shouted at her. Almost as if the professor was responding indiscriminately. And recall her encounter with Jan Hughes. The professor knocked over a vase and shouted at him to be quiet immediately after, but he hadn't said anything. She was responding to the sound of the vase breaking. Now, let me ask you this, Steelwind. Where did Bellwether come from before she encountered Miss Frege and Mr. Hughes? Her meeting with the headmaster. Are we getting Sinister Headmaster Sprite? Oh, perhaps. Oh, if we could get another Aristotle. If we could get another Dual Destinies. Professor Aristotle, I would be so happy. I love that doofy idiot. I love Professor Means. It appears that the defense truly means to indict Theodore Redmond. If so, we have no choice but to take a brief recess until he can be brought here. Uh-oh. There's no need. Fortunately for you, I was already in the gallery. The headmaster stood up from the gallery behind me and slowly made his way onto the witness stand. Had he been here the entire time? Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cuthbert, but are you trying to say that I am the one who committed this crime? I'm sorry, Mr. Redmond, but no matter how I look at it, everything I've found points to you. He is built for an 88-year-old man. That is not built. They're not like gangly or anything. They have a posture, but that is not built. That's just a regular old anime dude. No, there's no need to apologize. In fact, I should commend you on the lengths that you're going to defend dear Wallace. The court appreciates your understanding, Mr. Redmond. How can she speak so cordially after all she's done? Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give my testimony on what happened that day. He's magically built. Okay, perhaps there is some truth to that. That day, I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. She showed up at the expected time, and we discussed various administrative matters. Our meeting went on for an hour, after which she left to prepare for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her. There is like, oh, I don't even want to press anything. I just want to zero in on that one. I just can't see it. He seems like such a nice old man. Is he really the killer we're looking for? He has to be. No one else could have orchestrated this entire plot. I just need to find out how to prove it. Cross-examination. Ba 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 ba. After all, I had a reason to bear person. grudge against her. It's so directed. It's calling out to me. Bellwether's plan, folks. Redmond, did you really hold no animosity towards Professor Bellwether?
Of course not. I did have strong opinions about how she treated the students, but I always remained professional. We both did.
Frankly, I find that hard to believe. In fact, I think you might have had a very good reason to murder the professor, considering that she was going to take your job. What?
So you knew about that?
I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how was the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Miriam Frege, Catherine Bellwether was currying favor with the school board. In fact, there was a plan to oust Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of the academy. What? But in any case, I doubt that the headmaster had any idea of this until now. I'd like to remind the court of the witness's reaction just now. He said, "So you knew about that." His reaction was one of surprise, but he wasn't surprised by this information. He was surprised that I knew this information.
That's... Please, dear Arya. I may be a frail old man, but I'm perfectly capable of defending myself.
If you have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, then by all means, I'd love to hear it.
Gladly. It is true that I knew about Frege's plot beforehand, but I had only just learned about it. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane constructs. Now, you might say that this would have given me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Lady Frege. This happened weeks before our meeting. I had no knowledge of their plan before she told me, and therefore I wouldn't have known to steal Lady Frege's weapon in an attempt to frame her.
But we know that's not true. Are you satisfied now, Mr. Cuthbert? There's no way that the headmaster could have come up with this plan. If he really did do this, this means he stole the rapier too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about Bellwether's plans. That would mean he knew about this weeks ago. But how did he even find out? The best way to tell a convincing lie is to leave a lot of truths and only change one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him weeks ago. But how would I prove that?
Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination.
Angry piano. He wanted to shove her in a painting. How dastardly, locking someone in a frame like that. Boo! Boo, Blitz. That was a very Mario 64 joke. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. So, we can check the notation here. This is supposed to be a secret, but according to Jan, Bellwether revealed this plan to the headmaster during a meeting a few weeks ago, so that actually lines up more. So, but we just have to figure out what's the right one, and I think it's the last one. I didn't know the plan before she told me, so it's got to be this again.
Objection!
Exclude the witness is contradictory. Well, it's like it says.
Objection!
Expedition 33. Oh, there's a lot of paint going on. That is true. A lot of stains. Okay. Well, I guess we start pressing and then we'll see what happens. So you only learned about it recently. Doesn't that seem a bit too convenient for you?
It may appear that way, yes, but...
the murder, That must have infuriated you. Your colleague betrayed you and attempted to steal your job.
I'm only human. Of course I was taken aback. I've been headmaster of the Imperial Academy for nearly 60 years. To think that the professor and the board would go around my back like that.
With the professor dead, you won't have to worry about losing your job. At least not for a while.
I suppose you're correct, but there are others who benefit too. The faculty staff is now aware of the Fregus plot. With her plot delayed, they won't need to worry about abruptly losing their jobs either.
But what would happen if I proved that Redmond was the killer? He would be sent to prison, and the school board would just appoint someone else to carry out their plan. No, I couldn't think about that now. If I couldn't prove Redmond's guilt, the court would convict Wallace. As the headmaster, you'd probably have the tools available to get into her room.
Yes, I will admit that. The academy has a master key that can be used to enter each of the students' dorms.
Then you had the perfect way to get into her room and steal the rapier undetected.
I suppose I did. However, there's one flaw with your logic. This shit.
It was my understanding that the school board wanted to keep this a secret until the very end. Why would Bellwether, of all people, tell you about her betrayal?
I imagined she wanted to taunt me with that information. We've long had our disagreements, and looking back, she may have resented me for that. At that point, there wasn't anything I could do to stop her.
Really? I thought you and the professor were on good terms.
I thought so too, but I suppose it was all a facade. I was never on good terms with that witch. She was just biding her time until she could take my position as headmaster.
If he's the one behind this, he had to have known about Bellwether's betrayal weeks ago. Right, the question is, how do we prove it? Okay. So, I suppose this is not it. It's not this, is it? Oh no, she does double damage when she has a status effect. I hope she doesn't have guts. That'd be pretty devastating. I can prove what they're talking about then. I just need to borrow a certain blue box from a medical professional. Do we use Jan's statement here even though it's not technically like in the evidence thing?
Objection!
Because, like, it's mentioned in the other one. Does that count as proof?
Objection!
Okay, it's not either of those. Okay. How do we prove that it was weeks ago? How do we prove that that's the case? Anything in our people's documents that might help with this? Probably her rep on second. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane constructs. That'd be her reputation?
Objection!
Yeah. But we can try the other one, the plans one.
Objection!
So it was just that we had picked the wrong one. Okay, that one's frustrating. That one is intensely frustrating because there were two other statements in here that feels like that was that could have connected to, and that second one just did not feel like it because it was just reiterating the information that we knew. None of that statement was wrong, right? You keep saying that you didn't know about Bellwether's plot yesterday. Do you still plan on staying behind that claim?
Of course I am. It's the truth.
I'm sorry, Redmond, but you should really close your doors during your meetings.
What? No. Did someone see us?
Welcome to Ace Attorney. Welcome to Ace Attorney. It is true that Bellwether revealed her plan to you during one of your meetings. In fact, Jan Hughes happened to overhear that same meeting, but he only overheard the part where the staff would be replaced. And that's the strangest part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. You can't accuse the headmaster of perjury based on a rumor. Everything you've just said is based on secondhand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard that the staff would be replaced with arcane constructs. That is too specific and too accurate to assume that he misheard. The professor must have only revealed a plan for the arcane constructs. That still doesn't prove that he knew about her treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether had no authority over the cleaning staff's employment. It wouldn't make sense for her to just reveal her plan for the arcane constructs. That would only make sense if he knew that Bellwether would be taking his job. So, tell me one thing, Redmond. Why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw a need to establish an alibi? Redmond, I'm only going to ask you one more time. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? Theodore Redmond had done something truly terrible. The school board rejected my proposed staffing budget. We won't be able to hire more custodians. Of course they rejected it. Our current janitor simply needs to stop lazing about. Then you wouldn't have to spend all your free time helping him.
How did you... Is that how you found out? Did you tell them?
I did.
Why? What I do after school hours is none of your concern.
It becomes my concern when the headmaster of my academy debases himself in such a manner. You were mopping floors alongside him like a common servant. Have you no shame?
What else was I supposed to do? You can't possibly expect one man to keep an entire school clean.
Hughes is clearly capable. The academy is spotless despite his lounging about.
Only because he's working during every waking hour. He barely has enough time to sleep.
Please, I've got him napping on the job more times than I can count. Honestly, you coddle these animals far too much.
Professor Bellwether, I've called you here to discuss your treatment of certain students.
This again?
Do you remember Gillian Fletcher? He was part of your advanced illusion track.
I remember failing him. His performance during the final exam was laughable.
They found his body in the lake last night. I had always warned you that something like this might happen. I understand you feel that you have responsibilities to the kingdom, but our students are still human beings.
I fail to see how any of this is my responsibility.
Professor, surely even you must understand.
No, I think it is you who fails to understand. He may have been a mage, but he could never walk the path of the scaled lords chosen with such a plebeian constitution. What did you think would happen? The real act of cruelty was placing that layabout next to our kingdom's best and brightest. What do you think happens to trash when they're faced with their betters?
You never allowed him the opportunity to succeed. Don't think I'm blind to what's been happening. I have received several reports that you've been harassing the students admitted through the scholarship program.
Then take those reports to the school board, Redmond. If these urchins fall apart over the tiniest bit of criticism, then they have no place here. They can't handle it, Redmond. It's that simple. Maybe this incident will finally make you see reason.
You! What do I do? How do I stop her? It's only a matter of time before the school board names her as the new headmaster. After that, I won't be able to protect anyone from her. I'll be powerless.
That's not how I see it.
What?
You're clinging to shadows, Redmond. Titles, influence, reputation. They're all just illusions. Strip those away, and your Bellwether's equal.
If only it truly worked like that. Reality is far more complicated than that.
Is it, though? Her friends on the school board can't pump blood through her veins. Those nobles she dotes on can't draw breath into her lungs. All are equal in death. The survivors are the ones who determine what will be. It doesn't matter if you're a commoner, a noble, or the Scaled Lord himself.
What are you saying?
You should fight for what you believe in. Do whatever it takes to create the universe you want. Theodore Redmond had done something horrible. He had truly despised Catherine Bellwether with all his heart. In his mind, this world would be a better place without her in it. Yet, the sound of that rapier piercing her heart had been echoing endlessly within his head. It was as if her ghost were floating over his shoulder, torturing him by repeating her last anguished gasps. It made his stomach churn. He took no pleasure in taking her life, and his soul felt forever scarred from what he'd done. But you've already come this far, haven't you?
I have already come this far. What a fine mess this is. I'm not done. Not yet.
Headmaster?
So, you truly plan on pushing this, do you?
I won't let anyone stop me from getting justice for Wallace.
Well, your thesis sounds promising, Mr. Cuthbert, but I believe your arguments could use a little work.
Argument! Oh, we're doing an argument! Now this one has consequences. We've got a hit point bar. In defense of the murder, the victim sucks. The victim does suck. Ooh. Piano and electric guitar. Crazy combo. Very happy. Your Honor, no matter how justified, how much the rest of us would do to it, it's still murder. But how can you strip the illusions if they can't be struck by battle? That's I'm always saying this. Tyrion, use tackle. Tyrion!
You think I killed Catherine Bellwether? Me? I'm an elderly man in his late 80s. I was alone and could not overpower Bellwether. I can barely walk, much less wield a rapier.
Okay. Much as walk, you kill a rapier. You're a motherfucking wizard! You're a wizard! Okay, but like, yeah, he could cast a friggin' spell at her. Necrotic Blight would just kick the shit out of her. No, that's not right. He's technically correct. There's no way he could have overpowered Bellwether by himself. But was he really by himself? Oh, wait. Arcane Construct can help with this? Yeah. But you and Bellwether weren't the only people in that room, were you? You needed the Arcane Construct to carry Bellwether's body. That means that the Construct would have already been in your office. And with your privileges, you could have easily programmed the Construct to stab Bellwether for you.
Even so, think about what would have transpired afterward. Do you recall Miss Steelwood's timeline of Bellwether's witnesses? With your theory, the Construct would have spent more than an hour in the library. I wouldn't have the Construct linger around the library. Having it there would have risked my so-called ruse from being discovered. I was lucky. Lady Frigga can't tell night from day.
Thought contradicts the evidence. The opponent's thought contradicts their claim. Opponent's emotions contradict their claim. It's this one because, you know, he's like, oh, I would never have done that, but I'm so glad that it happened. Redmond, what you're saying clearly couldn't match what you're thinking. Public assertion is that. Oh, that's a sprite. You probably know what I'm thinking. Oh, I need to choose my words more carefully. Thought contradicts the evidence. What's thought contradicts their claim? Oh, I guess it is more of a thought contradicting the claim. The timing deducted from Miss Frigga's testimony is predicated on one thing. She saw Miss Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However, if we assume that you are lying about when this meeting ended, your entire argument falls apart. Miss Frigga would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2:01 p.m.
Miss Frigga wouldn't have made a mistake like that.
Miss Frigga thought it was morning when she saw Bellwether. She can't reliably tell the time.
Then what about where the rapier was placed? If I really was the murderer, then that would mean I planted the weapon in young Wallace's locker. Several of the students had lockers there that I had access to. I wouldn't have placed incriminating evidence in that locker. Wallace is one of my prized students. If I defend anyone, he would be the last person I chose.
But the locker switching incidents. You're right, Mr. Redmond. You wouldn't try to frame Wallace, but you would try to frame Miriam Frigga. It would have been the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murder your treacherous co-worker and frame the daughter of the family that helped her? If Miriam had been implicated, the Inquisition would have immediately swept Bellwether's murder under the rug. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace's locker and Miriam's locker were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up.
I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I have records of all the students' lockers and where they're located. There's no reason I would make a mistake like that. If I truly planned this, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. A simple change in labels wouldn't have led me to make a careless mistake like that.
Well, that's because you didn't place it. It was the arcane construct. Notably, though, I'm not sure which one to pick here that will actually do this. I assume it's the construct's logic limitations. Right? It's not people. I don't think people has anything to do with any of this. Yeah, he asked the contractor to put it in Frigga's locker, and it saw Frigga's locker and put it in there. So I feel like it's the contract's logic limitation. I hope we don't get moon logicked on this. No, he would have noticed that the locker's IDs were switched. But that was all based on the assumption that he was the person who planted the rapier. Okay, it was that again. Oh, this is so frustrating. But it wasn't you, was it? Your arcane construct was the one who planted the rapier in the locker. I bet you commanded it to place this rapier in the locker of Miriam Frigga, but it saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed that it wasn't Miriam's.
This is...
Redmond was desperately stammering.
Miss Steelwind, say something!
What? Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be plausible, but there's no evidence to support it.
That's right. You don't have any proof, do you? There's no evidence of my orders. Saying that I could have committed the murder isn't the same as proving I did it.
Okay, but we do have, the logs. No, it wasn't some sort of evidence of the track. Yes, the logs! So is it it's not why would it be the logic limitation? It's not spells or people, it's not any of those. So if it's not the arcane construct... There's no evidence of my orders. Like, am I missing something here? If it's not this... The lockdown system doesn't do anything with this. Headmaster's actions... This seems perfectly logical to me. Would it be the construct in the locker room is the one that it's asking me to do? Okay, there we go. Your arcane construct is still in the locker room where it planted the rapier. All we have to do is take a look inside it, and we'll see the blood inside.
Is that so, Mr. Cuthbert?
What? Why did he still look so confident?
No, Mr. Cuthbert, I already checked the inside of that construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean.
What?
The construct's primary function is to assist and clean, dear Tyrion. They have a function that allows them to clean themselves, inside and out.
That still wouldn't erase the magical traces.
Healing spells may leave traces of necromancy, but so would a healing potion. With no evidence of blood, there could be a myriad of reasons why those traces are there.
Well, we could still look at its command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. Do you honestly think that the murderer would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure that whoever orchestrated this plot, they ordered the construct to wipe its logs when it was finished.
No. That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best. But I suppose I can still give you marks for trying.
He thought of everything. Did he really get rid of all the evidence? I was running out of options, but I still had one option left.
It's unbecoming to glare like that, young Tyrion.
He's doing it again. I need to bring myself back to that moment with Garrick Pierce. Everything was at stake for Wallace in this trial. He endured the collective hatred of everyone who didn't understand what he was doing. Yet he stayed true to his ideals no matter how much it harmed him. He studied necromancy, all for the betterment of mankind. His life and his future were in my hands, and I would not see his potential destroyed.
Naught can remain concealed.
I activated the Empowered Eye again. Redmond did a good job of covering his tracks, but there was no such thing as the perfect crime. There had to be something that he forgot to get rid of. Alright. Had to be something he forgot to get rid of. What would be... You know what? This is something that hasn't really come up very often.
I wonder, to leave any other piece of evidence behind? I was far too reckless, but I needed some way to keep that lecture hall empty.
Oh, right. He must have botched the alchemy experiment on purpose to keep the lecture hall clear. But that didn't really tell me anything I could use right now. There was nothing there for me to use. Okay. Well, I'm glad they kept that in there. In case, like, people had logicked that out. So that's cool. Okay, the folder? I did everything I could to cast doubt on that Frigga brat. I can't believe Valerie placed a trace of necromancy on the body. To make matters worse, the construct placed the evidence in the wrong locker. So we did send the construct to the locker room to plant the evidence. He must have also fabricated the documents that accused Miriam of cheating. Okay, so Miriam is actually as good as she says, and there isn't some other weird loophole. It was all to make her look like the murderer, but this doesn't give me anything new to work with. Okay. I can't believe I put myself into this mess for Bellwether of all people. Why do I feel remorse for her? She deserved what happened to her. Hey, alright, a card background change. What are we changing it to? What are we doing? people. I think of this now. Okay. Maybe I need to try projecting something related to the construct's actions. Something related to the construct's actions. I was just thinking of myself. The staff. Bellwether would have thrown them onto the street if not for what I did. Back to X-Saber Gottoms. Alright, we gotta do take a little bit of a break here whilst we ruminate. Because we gotta change, we gotta get X-Saber Gottoms in on this one. Ba-da-ba-dum. Alright, now you said back to X-Saber Gottoms. Now, because of the recent release, double X-Saber Gottoms and X-Saber Gottoms are two distinct things. So is this the one that we were looking for, Erna? Oh, not that I would know if I hide the frickin' chat. Humanate? How do you dominate? It's all the nobility's fault. Got him, we got him. The whole time they were planning to throw me out. It's their fault that Bellwether is dead, not mine. Her blood is on the hands of the Friggas and the Steel Wind. If we use oh god, the spell compendium? No. Got that. Is it like the lockdown? I have done everything I could to shift guilt away from myself. But did I leave any holes in my alibi? No, I accounted for everything. There's no possible way I left any evidence behind. Not that. The autopsy report? No. Oh, the logic limitations, probably. The construct's orders were clear. Plant the body in Lecture Hall 2B, and then plant the evidence in Frigga's locker. It was supposed to head to the storage room afterwards. What happened? Interesting. The construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room? Deduction? No. The autopsy report wasn't updated, was it? Thankfully, we are in a position where the autopsy report has not changed on us out of nowhere. The fortunate part, though, is that... the unfortunate part is that means we don't get a sweet little dance to go along with it. There's not like a spell here that would change something, would it? We didn't use Animate Corpse at all, so that wouldn't have done it. Illusory Disguise. I keep pressing the RB button because I want to change tabs, even though that's not what it does here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Steel's orders. No. The map, maybe? Orders were clear. Plant the body into a Frigga's locker. Supposed to head to sort from afterwards. The same thing. Oh wait, that is different. It shouldn't have been there if it had followed my orders. No matter. It wiped its logs. That's all that matters. They have nothing. So we did order to wipe its logs. In order to cover all the tracks, it probably would have done this last. Oh, okay. Wait, he ordered the construct to go to the storage room. It should have done that after it was finished planting evidence in the locker room. But we found it in the locker room. What stopped the construct from leaving the locker room? No, Redmond clearly didn't intend for the construct to end up in the locker room. Someone or something must have interfered with it. So what, it's plant body, plant evidence, go to storage room, clear logs? But then it would have cleared the log, so it wasn't in that order. Leaving the locker room. Oh, we don't have that on this map here, so that doesn't really help us with anything. Wait, what? What's that that comes from leaving the locker room? Because if it's plant body, plant evidence, go to storage room, because it would have passed yawn, went into there, and then dropped the body off. Then it... Oh, the lockdown. It couldn't leave the room because of the lockdown procedure. Right, the body was probably reported earlier than Redmond expected. That meant he probably started the lockdown while the construct was still in the locker room. How did the lockdown affect the construct's actions? But does this change anything? Maybe. Redmond's series of commands was interrupted by the lockdown. The series of commands would have been interrupted. Wait a minute. Constructs execute a series of commands in the order that they are given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. So if a task in a series of commands is impossible, then that command will interrupt the entire series. If Redmond was trying to cover his tracks, the construct's final command would be to wipe his memory. But if its orders were interrupted by the lockdown, then... Miss Steelwind, I have nothing more to ask this witness. What? You're not giving up, are you? Yeah, I thought so. But how are you going to prove he did it if he's not on the stand? Don't worry. The next witness's testimony will be all I need. Next witness? That look on your face isn't one of resignation.
Huh, it's nothing but desperate bravado. Now, if you'll excuse me...
You've let him get away, Mr. Cuthbert. I hope you know what you're doing. I do, Steelwind. First, I'd like for the Inquisition to bring in the arcane construct in the Academy's locker room. We've already established that the murderer could have wiped its history. Please, just humor me for a second. Fine. Bailiff, please relay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White. Sup? Well, here's your construct. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Cuthbert. Construct? What are your orders? Please recite your command history. Reporting. Command 1. Stand by in Headmaster's office. Command 2. Await vocal signal. Attack from Theodore Redmond. Redmond stood up from the gallery, his face turning from confusion into terrified realization. Steelwind watched him carefully, clutching the handle of her cane. Command 3. Treat Catherine Bellwether as a hostile entity and neutralize.
Construct, wipe your...
Hodl! She's hodling! She's using her diamond hands spell! Oh man, those stalks are gonna go crazy. Before he could finish his order, the prosecutor whipped out her cane and pointed square at the headmaster. The headmaster tensed as his body tightened and he fell over, restrained by magical energy. He struggled against the spell to no avail. He could only watch through gritted teeth as the construct continued. Miss Steelwind? Excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4. Await vocal signal leave from Theodore Redmond. Command 5. Move to classroom 2B. Reply to any inquiries with voice line number 3. Command 6. Remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor. Thank you, Construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. But just to be clear, who gave you this series of commands? Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond. Oh! How could she hodl without later hosen?
How? I ordered the construct to wipe its command history!
Redmond, constructs don't follow the same logic that humans do. They're prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute.
Impossible? How are my commands impossible?
The giant robot on the tiny witness stand is so funny. It's so funny. It's one of the other things that I feel the game could do a little bit more when it comes to polishing, especially because it really does just look like smaller versions of these regular PNGs, so they look very blurry. I kind of wish that they would stop cutting to that establishing shot, because it does look very muddy. And of course all the proportions are wrong. They look very strangely sized for where they're at. You were the one that made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system.
The lockdown?
I imagine you never expected anyone to go to Lecture Hall 2B, but the Ionis twins discovered the body earlier than you expected. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. It would have been suspicious otherwise. However, the construct was still in the locker room when you did this.
So that's why it was there.
The construct finished its tasks in the locker room, but then it tried to follow your next command. It attempted to move to the storage room, but was prevented from doing so. Completion of that command was impossible, so the series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history.
No!
Theodore Redmond, you ordered your construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had it place the murder weapon in a locker to frame Miriam Freegan. And we have your construct's testimony to prove it. That's your last move, Redmond. That's checkmate. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster?
She was going to take everything from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would be gone. It was going to be stolen by her and the Freegas.
Why didn't you say anything? I could have...
Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant, Lady Steelwind. Do you think the Freegas acted alone? The Grand General is also on the school board, and he endorsed this plan just as much as they did.
What?
I have nothing to say to you. I thought you were different. I listened to you and the prince's lies about societal reform. In the end, you were just like the rest of them. By the scale, Lord, what have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. Why did I...
Now, that time, that dialogue changed. I know that was different. I know for a fact that was different. Saddest Redmond. Glitch in the glitch again. The one who actually committed the crime is you. No alibi, no justice, no dream, no hope. It's time to pay for your crimes. Take that. We're gonna Marvel versus Capcom the shit out of this trial.
It appears that we have a full confession. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell.
To a hodling cell.
Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it.
There was no glitch nova. There was no bodies in the water. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. It feels amazing, right? Like a big weight's been lifted from your shoulders. It does. But Headmaster Redmond... What am I gonna do now? Headmaster Redmond was the only reason I could even attend the academy. If the school board replaces him with someone like Bellwether... come on, don't think like that. You've been acquitted. You still have your freedom. I wanted to agree, but the study of necromancy was outlawed. Without Redmond's support, there weren't many places he could learn it. And then there was the staff at the Imperial Academy. Hey, not you too. Sorry, but Valentina, Valerie, and Jan, they're all gonna lose their jobs. Come on! You found the truth and you put a murderer behind bars! You saved Wallace! She's right. As we exited the courtroom, we were greeted by Miss Tamora. At the end of the day, you saved Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You did what you set out to do. You should be proud of yourself for that. I just wish I could do more. Nope, none of that. I'm taking all of us to that restaurant you went to last time. Do you remember how much that place costs? Don't worry, I have plenty of gold. Am I the only one on this team not making any money? Why don't you meet us there, Celeste? I need to talk with Tyrion for a moment. Alright, let's go, Wallace. Okay. You used that ability again, didn't you? She didn't appear to be praising me. I did. I didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Horus is a powerful tool, Tyrion, but that's twice now that you've used that ability to get out of a tight spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow. One day, you'll find a witness that it won't work on. It worked for me this far, though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. Which is, of course, us lying because it's a major game mechanic, so we will be continuing to use it. And that marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. Another life saved, and another murderer brought to justice. But I still couldn't shake this feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what would happen to the faculty staff? Or was it something else? I can't believe it. It was really Theodore the entire time? Can we talk about something else? Thinking about all that is really bumming me out. I hope I'm not interrupting. Oh, great. What do you want? I've always tried to act with more compassion than my fellow aristocrats, but I suppose I'm still blind to the privilege I was born with. I am truly sorry if my words during the trial were insensitive to your circumstances. I've been speaking with the students here. There's quite a bit of outrage about your firing. Wait, really? The idea of a machine doing your job doesn't seem to sit well with the student body, huh? A series of bureaucrats trying to replace the skill and human factor of labor with that of machines, thereby stamping on the dignity of human involvement. I wonder if there's a message here that could be translated to today. I wonder if maybe there's some kind of ongoing crisis in the way that we do work and exist nowadays that might map onto what Tyrion Cuthbert is talking about. That's, of course, unreasonable. It's Attorney of the Arcane. There's no way that a world of magic would have a lesson for the real world. I mean, it's just fantasy and fiction. What could it possibly mean? What could it possibly mean? Well, not everyone was as sympathetic as I'd hoped. Most everyone agrees that your leaving would be a tremendous loss. I've spoken with the head of the student council. We believe that we can convince the school board to keep you on staff. You can do that? But is that what you want, Valentina? I don't see the working conditions here improving without Redmond as headmaster. Well, we've got to make a living somehow. There's actually a merchant out in Oranax who takes an interest in people like you and your sister. He's recently purchased a condemned building in the city, and he's looking to turn it into a restaurant. I remember how delicious your meals were when I was a student here. I'm certain they would hire you if I asked. Really? Would you be interested in that? It's a bit of a gamble, but your employment wouldn't be at the whims of nobility. Of course! Good. I'll contact him later today. You'll probably be hearing from him soon. They won't work if your eyes get plucked out. My theory is that the world of the game is a simulation and the glitches are glitches in the simulation. My theory is that it's Ilmater. It's the creepy girl with the bandages using illusion magic to change shit, to cover her tracks. He was about to say something that would incriminate her and talk about there being a conspirator, and she covered it up with her illusion magic. This stream brought to you by an AI-voiced ad for full AI phone games. Irony! I love irony. She's not so bad for a noble. I don't know if I buy it. You've heard about what her dad's been doing, haven't you? Don't be so pessimistic. She seems nice. I'm kind of with Valentina on this one. Something's always been up with the Steelwinds. You remember that scandal all those years ago? Not really. What happened? Right, you two were probably just kids when it all went down, but it was big news at the time. Nova, picture it didn't happen. I swear to you, there are VODs on the channel. You can go to the VOD channel right now and you can see them. You can confirm my statements. Nova, feed pics now. Folks, I don't make enough money to give you feet pics. We can change this. I will sell out for money. Don't you worry. But I ain't making enough to show those tooters off right now. At least not any more than I already have. That girl's mom went on a rampage and massacred a village full of farmers, children's included. Also, not just the dad. 200K for feet pics. Once I see those 6 figures in my bank account, I will slather peanut butter on them if it'll make you happy. That would be crazy. Today I got an AI-voiced ad for a game that advertises not only AI-generated character generation, but AI-generated events and skill optimizations in an auto-battler. It sounds like the most dog-shit thing ever. Wobbler, that's because you're right. It is the most dog-shit thing ever. I'm glad to see that the faculties are still working. Lucio Steelwind's violent streak didn't start with these rebellions. I think they had a bad marriage or something. He couldn't wait to get rid of her. After what she did, he personally prosecuted her and demanded a death sentence. He even carried out the execution himself. He really is a monster, isn't he? Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd trust anyone raised by a guy like that. See, there's always something up with the aristocrats. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not getting my hopes up until I hear from this merchant from Aranax or whatever. But hey, if I do get that restaurant, we'll need someone to help us clean it. You interested, Jan? Cleaning one small restaurant instead of an entire school? I'm falling asleep just thinking about it. Okay, just make sure you do your job, okay?
Man, Steelwind's been keeping the old-timer here for hours. What's there to even ask at this point? Turns out she doesn't trust his testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene. I mean, he is pretty old. Yeah, well, she found that damned symbol etched into his desk. So, what did she call it? The purple mark? Oh, for the love of... not this again. Look, if the little lady wants to chase the boogeyman, just let her. At this time, she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it.
Cast sleep.
Hey! What's up with...
Eris Ilmater. I told you! I told you! So, Nova, you gotta change your title to the Gotham. Oh, right. My apologies. I was confirming if this was the Gothams that you meant or if you meant X-Saber Gothams. And I completely forgot about... the one who got him. There we go. Solved it. Thank you. Or must have more HP than that, or he'd die. Sleep might work differently. We don't know. It could be a different circumstance.
Wait a minute. I remember it now. But how?
That was close. My elation over meeting him almost made me forget.
Eris, what are you doing here? Why? Wait. It was you. You put those ideas into my mind. You're the one who told me to murder Bellwether.
Oh, you people never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, that came from your own mind. And I have to say, I was quite entertained with the scheme you came up with. You even broke into Lady Frigga's room. I never thought you were capable of such things, young Theodore. It's such a shame, though. I wished I could have gotten Wallace to play the villain instead of you. Could you imagine if he turned? Armies of the undead running rampant in the streets. It would have been spectacular. But alas, even I couldn't corrupt him. He falters in every other situation. But when it comes to necromancy, his will is adamantine.
Answer me. Who are you? What are you?
Who am I? I'm the ruler of the Sixth Circle, the Lord of Shadows. Case 2 complete. Okay. Young. Yeah. That is what they are implying. Holy shit, he did. They killed. Yo, did you hear about Redmond? They got him.